Some secrets we keep aren't dangerous. They're just painfully human. Emma Hartwell had carried hers for years, a birthmark across her shoulder that made her hide in oversized sweaters, even in summer. When she finally gathered the courage to do something about it, she never imagined the doctor walking through that door would be someone she knew, someone who would see everything she'd spent a lifetime concealing. If stories about quiet courage and unexpected connections speak to you, consider subscribing. It really helps. And let me know in the comments, where are you listening from today? Emma sat at her small kitchen table, the morning light filtering through thin curtains. The phone number was written on crumpled paper she'd carried in her wallet for 3 months. Riverside Medical Clinic, Cedar Falls, 40 minutes away. Far enough that nobody from Millbrook would know. Her finger hovered over the dial button. She'd tried this before, twice last week, once the week before. Each time, courage had failed. But today felt different. Today, she'd looked at herself in the mirror and thought, I'm 28 years old. I can't keep living like this. The birthmark stretched across her left shoulder blade, dark and irregular, the size of a child's hand. In elementary school, other girls had stared in the locker room. In high school, she'd perfected the art of changing without anyone seeing. She wore high-necked shirts year-round. She'd turned down beach trips, pool parties, anything that might require revealing that part of herself. Her thumb pressed the call button. Riverside Medical Clinic, this is Jennifer speaking. How may I help you? Emma's throat went dry. I'd like to schedule a consultation for a birthmark removal. Of course. We have Tuesday at 2 or Wednesday at 9. Which works better? Tuesday, Emma said quickly. And is there any way to ensure complete privacy? Absolutely. Private consultation room, strictly confidential records. Anything else? Emma exhaled slowly. No, thank you. She hung up, hands shaking. She'd done it. After all these years of hiding, of shame, of turtlenecks in July, she was finally taking control. Her phone rang. Mom flashed on the screen. Hi, sweetheart. I'm coming to visit next week. Surprise! Emma's stomach dropped. Next week? Which days? Monday through Thursday. We can have lunch at that diner you love, do some shopping. Mom, I might be busy Tuesday afternoon. Doing what? You never do anything Tuesday afternoons, honey. The words stung because they were true. Emma forced brightness into her voice. I'll let you know. See you Monday. She set the phone down and pressed her palms against her eyes. Of course her mother would choose this week. Later that day, Emma descended to the basement of Millbrook Community Hospital, where medical records occupied a windowless room smelling of old paper. She'd worked here 6 years, since graduating community college. Quiet work, solitary work. Perfect for someone who preferred invisibility. During lunch, she took the stairs up instead of eating at her desk. The hospital had expanded, adding a new wing with specialists. She'd been avoiding it, though she couldn't say why. Today, curiosity won. She walked down the bright corridor and stopped at a door with a brass nameplate, Dr. Nathan Cross, M.D., Dermatology. Her breath caught. Nathan Cross from Millbrook High? The valedictorian who'd left for Northwestern and never looked back? He wouldn't come back here. Millbrook was the kind of place people left. He's gorgeous, a voice said behind her. 2 nurses from surgical were grinning. Ashley continued. And single. Came back to give back to the community. Like a movie. Mrs. Brennan laughed. Every single woman under 40 suddenly has skin concerns. Never seen so many cosmetic consultations. They walked past without seeing Emma. She had that effect, and continued down the hall. Emma stared at the nameplate. It had to be him. She turned to leave and walked into someone's chest. "Whoa, sorry!" Strong hands steadied her. "You okay?" Emma looked up into a face she hadn't seen in 10 years, but recognized immediately. Nathan Cross had grown into his features. Kind brown eyes, a smile that reached them. "Emma? Emma Hartwell?" His face lit up. "Right, is that really you?" "Hi, Nathan. I can't believe... I knew you lived in Millbrook, but I didn't think I'd run into you so soon. What are you doing here?" "I work here, medical records." "Perfect. Do you have a minute? Coffee? I'd love to catch up." Every instinct screamed to decline, to retreat to her basement office. But Nathan was already guiding her toward the cafeteria, talking, enthusiasm almost boyish. "I just started last month. It's incredible being back. I forgot how much I missed this place. Chicago was great for training, but it's not home." They sat with terrible hospital coffee. Nathan asked about her life, her family, if she still lived on Maple Street. He remembered she'd been on the school newspaper, that she'd tutored in the library. Emma deflected, keeping answers brief. A shadow fell across their table. Mrs. Brennan stood there, arms crossed. "Emma, dear," she said loudly enough for nearby tables to hear, "you should finally get that shoulder looked at. We have a dermatologist now." She beamed at Nathan. "Dr. Cross could help with that birthmark you've been hiding all these years." Emma's face burned. She felt every eye turn toward her. Nathan's expression shifted to professional. "Mrs. Brennan, patient discussions should be private." "Oh, it's not a secret. Everyone knows Emma's self-conscious about it. Poor thing's been wearing turtlenecks since childhood. Such a shame when treatments are available." Emma stood abruptly, chair scraping. "I need to get back. Thanks for the coffee, Nathan." She walked away quickly, vision blurring. Behind her, Nathan said something sharp to Mrs. Brennan, but words were lost in the roaring in her ears. She made it to the basement stairs before tears came. As she pushed through the stairwell door, she heard Mrs. Brennan's voice drift from above. "Poor thing's been hiding under those clothes since she was a child." Emma spent the weekend avoiding phone calls and rehearsing what she'd say to her mother. By Tuesday, her nerves were stretched so thin she felt like glass about to shatter. She'd called in sick to work Monday and Tuesday, unable to face anyone at the hospital, unable to risk running into Nathan again. At 1:30 Tuesday afternoon, she pulled into the parking lot of Riverside Medical Clinic in Cedar Falls. The building was modern, all glass and clean lines, anonymous. Perfect. She wore a button-down shirt that would allow easy access to her shoulder without requiring her to undress completely. Small mercies. The waiting room was empty except for an elderly man reading a magazine. The receptionist, the same Jennifer from the phone call, smiled warmly. "Emma Hartwell? Just fill out these forms, and we'll call you shortly." Emma's hands shook as she wrote. Medical history, insurance information, reason for visit. She stared at that line for a long moment before writing in small letters. Birthmark removal consultation. "Ms. Hartwell?" A nurse appeared in the doorway. "Now, right this way." The consultation room was small but bright, with abstract art on the walls and a leather examination table. The nurse took her blood pressure, asked routine questions, then said, "The doctor will be with you in just a moment." Emma sat alone, breathing deeply. She'd come this far. She could do this. It was just a consultation, just a conversation. The doctor didn't know her, would never see her again after today. In 40 minutes, she'd drive back to Millbrook, and this would be behind her. The door opened. Dr. Nathan Cross walked in, holding a clipboard with her name on it. For 3 full seconds, neither of them moved. Emma felt the blood drain from her face. Nathan's expression cycled through surprise, recognition, and something that might have been dismay. Emma. His voice was careful, professional. I had no idea. What are you doing here? The words came out sharper than she intended. I cover shifts at both clinics this month. They're searching for a second dermatologist, so I'm splitting time between Millbrook and Cedar Falls until they find someone. He glanced at the clipboard, then back at her. Emma, I didn't know you were my patient. The scheduler just gives me names and appointment times. Emma stood, grabbing her purse. I should go. Wait. Nathan stepped forward, not blocking her path, but close enough that leaving would mean pushing past him. Please. I know this is uncomfortable, but I promise you complete confidentiality and professionalism. I've treated hundreds of patients. This is just another consultation. Just another. Emma's voice cracked. Nathan, you know me. We had coffee 3 days ago. This isn't just another consultation. You're right. I'm sorry. He set the clipboard down. But you came here for a reason. You took that step. Let me help you as your doctor. Nothing that happens in this room goes beyond these walls. You have my word. Emma stood frozen, every muscle screaming at her to run. But she'd spent 28 years running, hiding, making herself small. She'd made this appointment. She'd driven 40 minutes. She'd filled out the forms. Slowly, she sat back down. Nathan exhaled, relief evident. Thank you. Now, the notes say you're here about a birthmark. Can you show me? With shaking fingers, Emma unbuttoned the top of her shirt and turned, exposing her left shoulder blade. She felt Nathan's gloved hands gently touching the skin around the mark, professional and clinical. She heard him making small sounds of assessment. It's a pigmented nevus, he said quietly. Completely benign. Have you had it since birth? Yes. Any changes in size, shape, or color? No. Any pain or irritation? No. His hands moved away. You can button up, I'm finished. Emma redressed quickly, her face burning. She couldn't look at him. Nathan sat on the rolling stool, maintaining distance. This is very treatable. I'd recommend laser therapy. Probably 2 to 3 sessions spaced 6 weeks apart. The procedure itself is simple, minimal discomfort, and the results are excellent. Insurance may not cover it since it's cosmetic, but we have payment plans. Emma nodded, still not meeting his eyes. Emma. His voice was gentler now. You know there's nothing to be ashamed of, right? This is just skin. It doesn't define you. That broke something inside her. She stood again, this time moving toward the door with purpose. Thank you for the consultation. I'll think about it. Emma, wait. But she was already gone, fleeing down the hallway, past the receptionist, into the parking lot where she sat in her car and cried until her throat hurt. 3 days later, Emma's mother insisted they have lunch at Riverside Diner in Millbrook. Emma had been hiding in her apartment, ignoring texts from work asking when she'd return. Her mother, sensing something wrong but unable to pinpoint what, had shown up at her door that morning with pastries and determination. You're coming to lunch with me, she'd announced. No arguments. You look terrible, sweetheart. When's the last time you ate a real meal? Now they sat in a red vinyl booth. her mother chattering about Aunt Carol's gallery and neighborhood gossip. Emma pushed scrambled eggs around her plate, not tasting anything. Emma? Emma? Are you listening? Sorry. Yes, the gallery. Her mother frowned. What's wrong? You've been acting strange all week. Nothing's wrong. I'm fine. You're not fine. You've been... Her mother broke off, eyes focusing on something behind Emma. Oh, isn't that Nathan Cross? From your high school? Emma's stomach dropped. She turned and saw Nathan at the counter, having coffee with the hospital administrator. He hadn't seen her yet. She started to sink lower in the booth. Nathan! Her mother called out, waving. Nathan Cross! Nathan looked over, saw them, and his expression shifted to something complicated. The administrator said something, and Nathan nodded, then walked toward their table. Mrs. Hartwell, it's good to see you. His voice was polite, warm. Emma. Nathan, dear, sit down. We haven't seen you in years. Emma told me you're back in town, working at the hospital. How wonderful. Mom, he's busy. Nonsense. Sit, sit. Nathan slid into the booth beside Emma's mother, directly across from Emma. His eyes met hers briefly, a silent apology in them. So, tell me everything, Emma's mother continued. Chicago, wasn't it? Medical school? As Nathan answered, making polite conversation, Emma felt the walls closing in. The diner was crowded with the lunch rush. She recognized half the faces, people from the hospital, neighbors, the woman who ran the bookstore. And there, 3 booths away, was Mrs. Brennan with 2 other nurses from the hospital. Emma saw the exact moment Mrs. Brennan noticed their table, saw the woman's eyes light up with interest, saw her lean toward her companions, whispering. Then Mrs. Brennan's voice carried across the diner, loud and cheerful. Emma, so wonderful to see you out and about. I heard you finally saw a specialist about that shoulder. I'm so glad you're taking care of yourself, dear. The diner didn't stop. Conversations continued. Silverware clinked. But Emma felt every eye turn toward her, felt the weight of attention and curiosity and pity. Her mother looked confused. Specialist? What specialist? Emma, what is she talking about? Nathan's jaw tightened. Mrs. Brennan, that's inappropriate. But Emma was already standing, her chair scraping loudly. I need to go. Emma, wait, her mother started. Emma grabbed her purse and fled, pushing through the diner door into the bright afternoon. Behind her, she heard her mother calling her name, heard the buzz of conversation rising. She made it to her car, fumbled with her keys, and drove away with tears streaming down her face, leaving her mother and Nathan and the entire gossiping town of Millbrook behind. Emma spent the rest of the day ignoring calls from her mother. By evening, she'd cried herself empty and sat numbly on her couch, staring at nothing. The humiliation felt like a physical weight. Mrs. Brennan's voice echoed in her head, the confused look on her mother's face, the pity in everyone's eyes. Around 7, footsteps on the stairs, a soft knock, her mother's voice. Emma, sweetheart, please open the door. Emma didn't move. I'm not leaving until we talk. I brought soup. Silence. I don't know what happened today, but I'm worried. Please. Finally, Emma opened the door. Her mother took one look at her swollen eyes and pulled her into a hug. They sat on the couch, soup forgotten, and Emma told the whole story. The birthmark, the years of hiding, the appointment, Nathan walking into that room. Her mother listened, one arm around Emma's shoulders. I knew you were self-conscious, she said finally, but I didn't realize how much. I should have helped you. It's not your fault." And that woman at the diner had no right. They sat together as darkness fell. Eventually, her mother left, making Emma promise to call if she needed anything. Emma sat alone, exhausted. That's when she noticed the envelope under her door. Inside was a handwritten letter on clinic letterhead. Nathan's handwriting, neat and careful. "Emma, I owe you an apology. Not for the consultation itself, but for not anticipating how uncomfortable the situation would be. I should have offered immediately to transfer your care to another physician. I want you to know that I see dozens of patients every week. Your case is simply medical to me. But I understand it's not simply medical to you, and I should have been more sensitive. I remember you from high school. You were always kind to everyone, always helping people in the library. I was too caught up in my own plans to tell you then, but I wished I'd known you better. If you want to reschedule with a different doctor, I'll arrange it personally. No questions asked. If you want to talk, not as doctor and patient, but as two people from the same small town, here's my personal cell number. Nathan." Emma read it 3 times. Her finger traced the phone number. Before courage could fail, she dialed. He answered on the second ring. "Hello? Nathan? It's Emma." "Emma, hi. Thank you for calling. I'm sorry for running out. Both times." "You don't need to apologize. I handled that badly." "No, you were professional. I've spent so long hiding this, and suddenly everyone knows, and I feel exposed." Mrs. Brennan was completely out of line. Quiet for a moment. Then Emma said, "The letter. You said if I wanted to talk. Did you mean that?" "Absolutely. Not as doctor and patient? Just as Nathan and Emma. There's a coffee shop, Grounds and Pages, outside town on Route 47. Would you want to meet there tomorrow, around noon?" "I'll be there." Grounds and Pages sat in a converted farmhouse halfway between Millbrook and Cedar Falls, surrounded by fields turning gold. Emma arrived first, choosing a table by the window. When Nathan's car pulled in, her heart hammered, but she forced herself to stay seated. He walked in wearing jeans and a sweater, looking less like Dr. Cross and more like the boy from 10 years ago. He smiled, genuine and warm, and slid into the seat across from her. "Thank you for suggesting this." They ordered coffee. For a few minutes, conversation was careful. Then Nathan said, "Can I ask you something? Why now? What made you finally decide to do something about the birthmark?" Emma stared into her cup. "I woke up on my 28th birthday and realized I'd spent my entire life hiding. I've never been swimming as an adult, never worn a summer dress without a cardigan. I turned down a promotion last year because it would have meant attending events, being visible. I'm tired of living like I'm ashamed of existing." Nathan leaned forward. "I think you're incredibly brave. Making that appointment, showing up even when it was hard. That takes courage." "I don't feel brave. I feel like a coward who ran from a diner." "You're human. There's a difference." They talked for hours. Emma opened up in ways she never had. The swimming incident in 6th grade, the prom dress she'd bought and never worn. Nathan shared his own stories, the pressure of being the hometown success, the loneliness of medical school, coming back to Millbrook hoping to find something real. "Everyone thinks I'm living the dream," he said. "Big city medical career, hometown hero. But Chicago felt hollow. I treated wealthy people who wanted to look younger. I wanted to do something that mattered." "Does treating my birthmark matter?" Emma asked with irony. "Helping someone stop hiding?" "Yes, that matters." The sun was setting when they finally left. Nathan walked Emma to her car. As she unlocked it, he touched her arm gently. "I meant what I said. If you want a different doctor, I'll arrange it. But if you trust me, I'd be honored to help you." Emma looked up at him. "Let me think about it." "Of course. And Emma, I'd like to do this again. Coffee, talking." She smiled, the first genuine smile in days. "I'd like that too." As she drove away, she saw him in her rearview mirror, standing in the parking lot, watching her go. She felt something unfamiliar flutter in her chest. Hope, maybe. Then she turned onto Main Street and saw Melissa Torrens standing outside the drugstore, arms crossed, watching Nathan's car pass with an expression like stone. Melissa, Nathan's ex-girlfriend. Melissa, who worked in hospital billing. Melissa, who had seen everything. The next morning, Emma returned to work. She'd been out nearly a week, and her inbox was overflowing. She kept her head down, hoping to slip through the day unnoticed. At 10 o'clock, she was called to Mrs. Brennan's office. The older woman sat behind her desk with two other senior nurses. The atmosphere was cold, formal. Emma's stomach twisted. "Emma, sit down, please," Mrs. Brennan said, her voice lacking warmth. "We need to discuss a serious matter. It's come to our attention that you may be pursuing a personal relationship with Dr. Cross in a manner that could be seen as inappropriate." "What?" "No, Multiple staff members reported seeing you together outside work hours. There are concerns you're using your access to medical records to gain personal information, or manufacturing situations to spend time with him." Emma's face drained of color. "That's not true. I don't even work near his department." Nevertheless, the appearance of impropriety is concerning. Melissa Torrens from billing filed a formal complaint this morning. She witnessed you meeting Dr. Cross outside town yesterday and noted your absences coinciding with his Cedar Falls clinic schedule. The room spun. Emma gripped the chair arms. "So Nathan and I are old friends from high school. We had coffee, that's all. Be that as it may, we're placing you on administrative leave pending a workplace conduct review. You'll need to leave today and await instructions." "You're suspending me? For having coffee?" Mrs. Brennan's expression was sympathetic but firm. "It's temporary, dear, just until we sort this out. Professional standards." Emma stood on shaking legs. "Where's Nathan? Does he know?" "Dr. Cross is in procedures all morning. We'll speak with him separately." Emma walked out in a daze. She gathered her belongings while colleagues whispered and averted their eyes. Melissa stood near the elevator, watching with satisfaction. Emma made it to her car before the tears came. She sat in the parking lot, hands gripping the steering wheel, feeling her entire small world collapse. Emma sat in her apartment for 2 days. Phone turned off, blinds drawn. She couldn't face anyone, couldn't face the humiliation of being accused, of being suspended, of having her private struggle turned into office gossip. On the 3rd day, her mother showed up again, this time with reinforcements. Her Aunt Carol, who took one look at Emma and announced she was making tea and nobody was leaving until they talked this through. Emma told them about the suspension, the accusations, Melissa's complaint. Her mother was furious. Aunt Carol, a retired lawyer, was calculating. "They can't suspend you without proper cause," Carol said. "Having coffee with a colleague isn't grounds for administrative leave. This is retaliation, pure and simple." "I don't want to fight it," Emma said quietly. "I just want to disappear." "Absolutely not," her mother said firmly. "You've spent your whole life disappearing. No more." Before Emma could respond, someone pounded on the door, Her mother opened it to find Nathan standing there, still in his white coat, looking like he'd run from the hospital. "Emma." He was breathless. "I just found out. I came as soon as I heard. You shouldn't be here. It'll make things worse." "I don't care." He stepped inside, nodded politely to her mother and aunt. "Emma, this is my fault. I should have disclosed our friendship immediately when you became my patient. I should have transferred your care. Instead, I was selfish because I wanted to help you, and now you're paying for my poor judgment. It's not your fault. Melissa filed the complaint because she's my ex, and she saw us together. I know. I spoke with her this morning. She admitted she was upset about seeing us at the coffee shop." He ran a hand through his hair. "I went straight to the hospital administrator. I explained everything, that you were my patient at an outside clinic, that our coffee meeting was completely appropriate, that we're old friends from high school. I told them if they don't drop this review immediately, I'll file a formal complaint about workplace harassment on your behalf." Emma stared at him. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did. You took a brave step trying to change something that's bothered you for years, and you ended up being humiliated and punished for it. That's not right." Her mother was watching Nathan with an expression Emma couldn't quite read. Aunt Carol was smiling slightly. "The administrator agreed to drop the review," Nathan continued. "You can return to work Monday, and I've requested that Melissa be spoken to about filing false complaints." Emma felt something crack open in her chest. Relief, gratitude, and something deeper. "Thank you. There's something else I need to tell you. Something I should have said years ago." Nathan glanced at her mother and aunt. "Could we talk outside?" They walked down to the small park at the end of the street. The evening air was cool, leaves just starting to turn. Nathan stopped by the old fountain, hands in his pockets. "In high school, I noticed you," he said quietly. "The way you helped people in the library, tutoring students who were struggling. The way you never joined in when others gossiped. You were kind in a way that seemed effortless, and I admired that. I was too focused on grades, on getting out of Millbrook, on proving myself. I should have gotten to know you then." Emma's throat tightened. "I noticed you too, but I never thought someone like you would notice someone like me." "Someone like you?" "Emma, you're smart and kind and genuinely good. Do you know how rare that is? I'm the girl who hides in turtlenecks and runs away from diners. You're the woman who made an appointment to change something that's bothered her for years, who drove 40 minutes to a strange clinic, who showed up even when it was terrifying. That's not hiding. That's courage." Emma felt tears threatening. "I don't feel courageous. I feel scared all the time." Nathan stepped closer. "Can I tell you what I see? I see someone who's been carrying shame that was never hers to carry. A birthmark isn't something to be ashamed of, Emma. It's just skin. But the way people treated you, the way they made you feel about it, that's what needs to change. Not your shoulder. Your belief that you're somehow less than everyone else because of it. I've spent 28 years believing that. Then maybe it's time to start believing something different." He reached out carefully, touching her shoulder, the one she'd always hidden, through her sweater. "This doesn't define you, and anyone who made you think it did was wrong." Emma looked up at him, really looked at him. The boy who'd left Millbrook to become someone important had come back still kind, still genuine, and he was looking at her like she mattered. "I'm still scared," she whispered. "That's okay. Courage isn't not being scared. It's doing the thing anyway." Nathan, I need to tell you something. I want to do the procedure, but I want you to do it. Not because it's convenient, but because I trust you. He smiled. Are you sure? I'm sure. But not in Cedar Falls. Here, in Millbrook. I'm done hiding. 3 weeks later, Emma walked into the dermatology wing of Millbrook Community Hospital. Her mother sat in the waiting room, squeezing her hand before the nurse called her back. The procedure room was bright and sterile. Nathan was there in his white coat, professional but warm. Ready? He asked. Ready. The procedure itself was quick. Local anesthetic, the hum of the laser, Nathan's calm voice explaining each step. Emma kept her eyes closed, but not from fear. From the strange peace of finally doing something she'd put off for so many years. Afterward, bandaged and given care instructions, she sat in the recovery area. Nathan came by, a nurse present to maintain propriety. You did great, he said. The results should be excellent. 2 more sessions and you'll barely see it. Thank you, Nathan, for everything. He smiled. See you for follow-up in 6 weeks. And Emma, I'll see you before that too. For coffee. She smiled back. I'd like that. Later that week, Emma returned to work. She walked through the medical records department with her head up. Mrs. Brennan approached, surprisingly contrite. Emma, dear, I owe you an apology. I spoke out of turn at the diner, and I made assumptions that weren't fair. I'm sorry. Emma looked at the older woman and saw not malice, but someone who'd probably gossiped out of habit without thinking about the harm. Thank you, Mrs. Brennan. I appreciate that. That evening, Emma met Nathan at Grounds and Pages. She wore a sleeveless blouse for the first time in years. The bandage on her shoulder was visible, and she didn't care. Nathan noticed and smiled but didn't comment. They sat by the window as the sun set over the fields. Nathan told a story about a patient who'd tried to diagnose himself using internet searches. Emma laughed, really laughed, and realized she felt lighter than she had in years. I've been thinking, Nathan said, about what you said, about spending your life hiding. I did the same thing, just differently. I hid behind achievements, behind this idea of who I was supposed to be. Coming back here, getting to know you again, it's the first time in years I've felt like myself. So we're both learning to stop hiding? Something like that. He reached across the table, covering her hand with his. Is this okay? Emma looked at their hands together, then up at his face. Yes, this is okay. Through the coffee shop window, the lights of Millbrook began to twinkle in the dusk. The small town that had witnessed her shame was also witnessing her courage. Emma had spent years making herself invisible, hiding behind fabric and fear. But sitting here with Nathan, his hand warm over hers, she felt seen in a way that didn't frighten her. She thought about the girl who'd called a clinic 40 minutes away, too afraid to seek help in her own town. And she thought about the woman she was becoming, someone who could walk into her own hospital, ask for what she needed, and face the world without armor. Outside, the first stars appeared. Inside, Nathan squeezed her hand gently, and Emma squeezed back. This was just the beginning. 2 more procedures, many more coffees, a future unfolding like the road stretching beyond the window, leading somewhere neither of them had planned, but both were brave enough to explore together. She was finally, beautifully, unafraid to be seen.